This is Elliot Olson from Rainbow Studios, and I'm our lead technical game designer. And here you guys are checking out one of our free ride levels on the ATV, so we can show you some of all the new cool stuff. Really, the newer thing about reflex is the ability to control your rider independently of your vehicle. So you can steer the vehicle with one stick, you can control your rider's weight with one, and what you'll see when we drive around, if you want to go ahead and tear off, is you start to learn like when you should be leaning in, when you should be leaning out, because it really controls, everything that you're doing with the vehicle. We have a brand new physics engine, along with the terrain engine, and everything's really new from ground up, so it's not really just a rebadged thing from the last game. One of the things that's really cool about the sand right here, and even going up to this next section of the track, is the other biggest part of the game, which is our real terrain deformation. I accentuate real because some people have done some stuff before, but we actually wanted to do what we thought was the best way to do it. And not only is the vehicle leaving tire tracks, but it's actually deforming the real terrain. Just spin around here for a second. You'll see that the terrain is actually deforming under the vehicle, and the dirt has to go somewhere, so it actually builds up on the outside too, and you can see when you roll through it that it actually affects the physics. This is really cool and kind of fun to monkey around with when you're on one of our free ride levels. The bonus to all of this is not only is it fully dynamic, but it's fully persistent. If he was to turn around and go back to where he's been, you would actually see where he's been. When you get into a race or a track event, the track's always changing, and so all the players live in these ruts, and some jumps are opening up, some are going away. If somebody's really fast and you really want to kind of make them angry, you can blow out their rut, and so the next time they come around, it won't be the same. They might not be able to make the jump. So that was really a cool thing for us, is that not only are the tracks different every single time you race them, just because of how they deform and how they change, but actually even from lap to lap, and depending on which vehicles you are. An ATV leaves different tracks than a bike does, or even a truck or a buggy, for instance. So it's this whole new dynamic that's really cool. So as you can see, he's driving through here, and you can say, oh yeah, that's where I've been. And you can free ride and do this stuff online too, so a lot of times you'll end up going into areas where you see where other people have been, or are sessioning a certain jump or some part of the world. So it's definitely the big bonus. He hasn't had it happen yet, but except for a full-on wreck there. When you wreck, it's not just the tires leaving the tracks. The vehicles are going to leave their tracks when they flip upside down. The rider's going to leave his tracks, and the bikes, when he sticks his foot out to turn, it's going to leave his tracks. So we kind of really haven't done. There you go. So we haven't left anything unturned. We actually pay attention to all the details. So we're really excited to bring this to off-road racing for the first time as the full deformation, and also the rider reflex system. So not only are you controlling your rider and kicking around, but one of the things you'll see in some of the stuff that we're showing you today is the ability to save wrecks. And so before, you'd always have these kind of wrecks that were happening, and you just kind of had to wait for them to be over, and by that time everybody's already taken off, and now you have the ability to actually potentially save them and keep yourself in the race. So also one of the things that we really try to do for this game is bring up the presentation level through all of our events, so it really feels like you're at this is a national race, for example. So you'll see all the crowd members, little floaty things happening. It's just a lot more involved. So we're at the start gate right here. It's going to take off. So right now you're seeing the track as just kind of how it stands, and as the race goes on, and we get to these laps, you're going to start to see how this kind of a groove wears in, and where the fast lines start to show up, where people are wrecking. This is also one of our more sandier tracks, and that's one of the things our new terrains allowed us to do, is really put you in a lot of different types of elements. Slippery dirt, muddy dirt, this is sand, for example. So they're all going to kind of play a little bit different, and you're going to have different strategies to how to play them, especially with the different types of AI you're going to go against. But the goal is as you play through the game that you're going to find you're self-progressing naturally from just using the steering to actually wanting to use the reflex stuff to get you leaning and turning around corners. So this is just the first lap, and you can already see what would have been tire tracks before is actually deforming the terrain. You can kind of see where the AI guys have found the fastest lines and are starting to wear some ruts into. Man, you can stick the front flip. The cool thing is that the more laps you do, you're going to have lines that open up. Good save. That's part of our wreck avoidance system. So what would have been a wreck before in previous games or in some other games, he actually saved that and couldn't stay in the race since he's terribly behind and trying to catch up. But like I said, what I was going to say is that you might have some jumps that are good to go on the first lap, but over the course of time they start to go away, and you're going to have to switch out of the main rut or hit another one to either do the same jump or change the line. So it's really cool that you get to have different lines, especially online too, because everybody has a different style of racing. So depending on who you're racing, the track's going to have to be raced differently, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So like our other event, this is freestyle, but bringing up the presentation level of everything as well. We really wanted to make this seem like it was more of a freestyle event, not just a trick contest. So this whole run consists of you pulling off tricks, and also you won't notice any kind of individual like stunt scores or anything or multipliers, and that's because you're being judged on the whole course. How much of the course you use, what kind of tricks you're pulling, how consistent you are you repeating tricks. There's 5 judges that are basically looking at the whole run, which is more true to the sport and what's going on, and actually just lets you focus on having a whole complete run. So for instance, if you're not very good at pulling off the hardest tricks, but you're really good at using the whole course, you'll be doing okay. If you're really good at pulling the hard tricks and just kind of focusing in one area, that might kind of balance you out. So it's really cool. So with the reflex system, basically all the rider control, what you're going to be doing is using simple gestures on the right stick, basically just a few directions, and that really just lets you get in and start pulling off tricks. And you'll do okay against some of the early guys, but as you start going on, you'll start wanting to pay attention to which tricks you're doing and how often you're repeating them and how much you're doing for combos and whatnot. And it really becomes this whole fluid, kind of natural motion of getting into the groove of what you're doing. Now, of course, you have wreck avoidance, which we talked about before. That'll kind of help you with your flow judge and saving your wrecks so you don't get them going. But as traditional, backflips are always valid, and throwing a trick in at the same time, just like that, it's going to up your score as well. So use the course, throw down some sick tricks, and you'll be good to go. Also, we'll have some tricks that you'll have seen before, and then something like that, which some of the guys haven't thrown down in a contest yet, but undoubtedly could be throwing into their foam pit right now. So some really cool stuff. So that's kind of a look at some of the big stuff that's coming out for reflex with the rider reflex system, the terrain deformation, the trick system, the wreck avoidance. Lots of new stuff to kind of get into the game and get down and dirty with. So we're on 360, PS3, Nintendo DS, and PSP, and we'll be coming out this holiday 2009. So everybody should definitely pick it up and check it out.